In the last decade, there has been much talk of phenomenology in German philosophy and psychology. In presumed agreement with the logical investigations, phenomenology is conceived as a subdomain of empirical psychology, as a region containing immanent descriptions of psychical events, or Erlebnisse, which, such is their understanding of this immanence, remain strictly within the framework in inner experience, or Erfahrung. My protest against this interpretation has apparently been of small use, and the accompanying elucidations, which sharply delineate some at least of the main points of the difference, have not been understood or have been heedlessly set aside. Thence also the completely empty replies, empty because the plain meaning of my statement was missed, to my criticism of the psychological method, a criticism which in no way denied the value of modern psychology and in no sense depreciated the experimental work carried out by men of distinction, but exposed certain, in the literal sense of the term, radical defects of method on the removal of which, in my opinion, the raising of psychology to a higher scientific level and an extraordinary extension of its field of work must depend. There will still be occasion to deal briefly with the superfluous defences of psychology against my presumed attacks. I mention this dispute here that I may state from the outset most emphatically, in face of prevailing and far-spreading misinterpretations, that the pure phenomenology to which in what follows we would prepare a way of approach, the same which emerged for the first time in the logical investigations, and has revealed an ever richer and deeper meaning to me as my thought has dwelt on it through the last 10 years, is not psychology, and that it is not accidental delimitations and considerations of terminology, but grounds of principle which forbid its being counted as psychology. Great as is the importance which phenomenology must claim to possess for psychology in the matter of method, whatever the essential bases it provides for it, it is itself, if only as science of ideas, as little identifiable with psychology as is geometry with natural science. Indeed, the difference is more marked and reaches deeper than this comparison would itself suggest. It makes no difference that phenomenology has to do with consciousness, with all types of experience, with acts and their correlates, though in view of the prevailing habits of thought it demands no small effort to see this. That we should set aside all previous habits of thought, see through and break down the mental barriers which these habits have set along the horizons of our thinking, and in full intellectual freedom proceed to lay hold on those genuine philosophical problems, still awaiting completely fresh formulation, which the liberated horizons on all sides disclose to us, these are hard demands. Yet nothing less is required. What makes the appropriation of the essential nature of phenomenology, the understanding of the peculiar meaning of its form of inquiry, and its relation to all other sciences, to psychology in particular, so extraordinarily difficult, is that in addition to all other adjustments, a new way of looking at things is necessary, one that contrasts at every point with the natural attitude of experience and thought. To move freely along this new way without ever reverting to the old viewpoints, to learn to see what stands before our eyes, to distinguish, to describe, calls, moreover, for exacting and laborious studies. It will be the chief task of this first book to search out ways in which the excessive difficulties of penetrating into this new world can be overcome, as it were, bit by bit. We shall start from the standpoint of everyday life, from the world as it confronts us, from consciousness as it presents itself in psychological experience, and shall lay bare the presuppositions essential to this viewpoint. We shall then develop a method of phenomenological reductions, according to which we may set aside the limitations to knowledge essentially involved in every nature-directed form of investigation, deflecting the restricted line of vision proper to it, until we have eventually before us the free outlook upon transcendently purified phenomena, and therewith the field of phenomenology in our own special sense of that term. Let us trace the lines of this anticipatory sketch somewhat more firmly, and in conformity with the bias of the times, as also with inner affinities of the subject matter, connect them with psychology.